A group trying to get Elizabeth Warren to run for president has now officially decided to back Bernie Sanders. And that actually happened last week. Two top officials, according to The Hill, from the group Ready for Warren, which is, as I said, is a group that attempted to nudge Senator Elizabeth Warren into running for president. Now, you know, Elizabeth Warren, excellent progressive. A lot of people have been really, trying to get her to run, looking forward to seeing her run. Obviously, she has no interest in running, which is all right because she's been doing phenomenal work in the Senate, trying to raise, change the discussion, I guess, and raise some very important issues, things like student loan debt, how the government is making so much money off students when it comes to the student loan program, as well as putting students into debt, the big banks, getting away with pretty much murder, essentially, because they're too big to fail. Now, Elizabeth Warren's been doing great work on that, and despite all this pressure from the grassroots left, Elizabeth Warren doesn't want to run. So a group that was recently backing her decided, we're going to shut down. We delivered all these petitions to her, somewhere around 365,000 signatures delivered to Senator Elizabeth Warren. She still decided that she was not interested in running. She's going to stay in the Senate. However, this group decided, okay, now let's back Bernie Sanders. So now this group is now feeling the burn, which is interesting. Now, Erica Sagrins and Charles Lechner, who are the two top officials in what was Ready for Warren, said, quote, "While Warren is the champion who inspired this movement, the draft effort was never just about her. It's about her message and the values she represents." Now, Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren are very, very similar on a lot of the issues, a lot of the most important issues, banking regulation, especially trade as well, TPP, and the minimum wage. So it seems only natural that this group decides, well, since we can't get Elizabeth Warren, we're going to back Bernie Sanders, which is awesome. Now they continue. Bernie Sanders has caught fire in a way that is reminiscent of the draft Warren movement itself. From the internet to town halls in Iowa, Sanders has captured the imagination and support of people looking for a real progressive challenger in the 2016 Democratic primary. Now, the two also wrote that 56% of the group's supporters have asked it to back Sanders, whom the article frames as the new torchbearer to the Warren wing. Quote, "You can see it in everything from the fight against TPP to the growing momentum around Bernie Sanders, and in the way Hillary Clinton and even Republican candidates are echoing Warren's themes on income inequality," which of course is one of the biggest issues facing America today, other than, of course, climate change. And that's another thing Bernie Sanders has been electrifying people on as well. Now, you wouldn't think so, but one of the recent campaign stops that he had, about halfway, maybe a third through his speech, he started mentioning issues on climate change, and the room erupted in applause. Climate change is something that is important to a lot of younger Americans, more important than I think the media gives it credit for. And Bernie Sanders, of course, is a major climate hawk as well. He's looking out for the environment, which is a great thing that we'd love to see. Now, the Ready for Warren decided to rebrand itself to Ready to Fight. So it's no longer Ready for Warren, but they are ready to fight, and they are ready to fight on behalf of the message of Bernie Sanders. And that's what's important about this. We have to remember that it's not about the personality anymore. It's about the message. It's about what kinds of policy positions that Bernie Sanders has taken. And this is, I think, what Hillary Clinton is missing, or was missing in her campaign. She's not making it about the message. Now, she's trying not to make it about her either, but she's being incredibly vague. That's why a lot of people are saying, I don't know. I don't really trust Hillary Clinton. I don't know. I don't know where she stands. She's not really, she's pretty vague on issues. However, one of the main things that is helping her in the polls right now, as she is ahead of Sanders, is name recognition. Everybody knows the Clinton. Everybody knows of the Clintons. Bill Clinton, obviously, and she's Secretary of State. She's very, very well known. Just like, for example, Jeb Bush also has that family name. Everybody knows Jeb Bush. Everybody knows the Bush family. Everybody also knows the Clinton family. That name recognition gets you very, very far. Now, Bernie Sanders, despite not having that, I mean, he's been catching up to Hillary in the polls, despite having very little name recognition. If you remember the last election, Barack Obama did pretty much the same thing. Nobody heard of him. Hillary was the presumptive nominee, and then bam, she got Obama'd. So, thanks, Obama. So this is good to see. And finally, the article says Elizabeth Warren, this is a response from Bernie Sanders, to be honest with you. This comes from also The Hill. Elizabeth Warren is a good friend. Like millions of her supporters around the country, I have great respect and admiration for her. It's so gratifying that so many people who wanted Elizabeth to run for president are now getting behind our campaign to restore America's middle class and take on Wall Street and the big banks. So there's Sanders saying, you were in favor of Warren, now jump on board, because we've got the same policy prescriptions. I'm glad to have you on board. Let's do this. Let's do this progressive revolution to start doing progressive policies in this country and kind of take it back for the regular person, the worker, instead of the big banks and the large corporations. So it's good to see. It's good to see this group, as I had called for it before, and I've talked about Bernie Sanders before, how this would be a good thing if we could get the Elizabeth Warren supporters behind Bernie Sanders and kind of really create this grassroots progressive movement, because I think that's what's necessary, and it's good to see that they're heading in that direction.